to measure, then what's next? There is something that is changeless, that is forever there. So how does it get from that place of the eternal, the infinite, and show up in condition and show up in form? Well, this is the middle area. This is what we call the universal law. The universal law is subjective. By the very definition of subjective, it means that it is subject to something else. It is subject to the divine mind. It does not have a will of its own. Can you imagine what it would be like if the divine mind was out there saying, well, let's see, I think I want to create planet Earth. And so I put it into the law, and the law says, no, I'm thinking another galaxy. Yeah. The confusion and the chaos that would be going on everywhere. So we know that this is true. We know that that subjective, universal law has one responsibility: to do what it does. And it waits upon the divine mind to give it an idea. It waits upon the divine mind to say, and here is what I would like to experience. And as Patricia said in her practitioner moment here, the universal law always responds with a resounding yes, yes, yes. Whatever it is that you ask of me, I will do, because that is my nature. That is the nature of the universal law, to take from the divine mind the idea, the thought, the impulsion, and begin to create and put into form and manifestation and demonstration. And that's the bottom part, what we call body. That's what shows up. When spirit has an idea, presents it to the universal law, which automatically sets into motion whatever needs to be, then creates form, creates body. And in body we have experience. That's why we call it the body of our affairs. Because it is our experience of what we're having in this form, in this time, in this place, in this density of human life, of humanness. But deep within, someplace, is this changeless essence that lives within, as through each and every one of us. That's the stuff that moves around all over within the entire circle of eternity. The V represents the pathway coming down from divine thought through universal mind into the body, and then returns back up into the universal mind. It's a law of circulation. Whatever comes forth must return. That's how the change continues to happen. That's how we continue to be. We talk about however I receive is the way in which I give. And if I'm closing off to receiving, how am I ever going to give? Or if I'm always receiving, but I'm closing off to giving, then I've blocked the circulation in that way. It's the same way in which our physical body works. If we were to, close off, clamp off one of the arteries of our heart that allows for the circulation of the blood to move through, then something really devastating happens. In and of itself, it's not evil. It's just the experience of resulting out of an action, out of a behavior that we took. This is where, in Science of Mind, we have eliminated hell. We just abolished it. We said, don't need it, don't want it, don't plan to go there. And yet here we are creating opportunities to have the experience of it every now and then for some reason that is beyond my comprehension. But we go there. I know I do. I have a little trigger point now and then. Something happens. Something shows up. A condition enters into my body. I decided this week that what was happening, that there was a collection of these microbiotic germs that had decided to have a party in Occupy Michael. They thought, Occupy Wall Street. Well, let's occupy Michael. Let's show up in this little thing, and we'll have all of the runny nose and the watery eyes and the sneezing and the coughing and, whatever. And for a while, I was like trying to ignore it. It's kind of like, isn't that sweet? They've decided to have a party. They wanted to protest something. They wanted to stand for some, right or some, tolerance or whatever. And I was trying to go along with it. And I was doing my spiritual work, and I was like, it is not the truth of who I am. It is not the truth. It is not the truth of who I am. I'm going to deny this. I'm not going there. I would come to the center, and I would have a meeting, and then I would go home and crash. Oh, Lord, this is not the truth of who I am. Finally, on Saturday, I heard somebody say something about, they went to their doctor and they got antibiotics. I was like, whoa, what a concept. Get over this. Get beyond yourself. This idea that how will I show up in my imperfection? How will I show up in my humanness? And be the spiritual leader and say, in some way, somehow, this is okay. So when I saw ministers somewhat berating other ministers about acknowledging that they had a condition, I thought, that's not true. That's not where we need to be. We need to acknowledge that there is pain and suffering going on in the world. We need to acknowledge when we are in a place where we're not feeling our perfection. We need to honor that everything in form is forever changing. And sometimes in the change, in the transition from going from here to there, it doesn't always look in the most perfect, whole, complete, and beautiful way that we would like it to be. Sometimes we just have to move through it. Sometimes we have to acknowledge that for whatever reason, my body responded to something that was going on, and I really don't care where it came from. I just need to take care of it. I need to bless it. I need to honor it, and then send it on its way, because it no longer serves who I choose to be, who I desire to be. So this is how we reenact the nature of the divine spirit. Because in the mind of God, everything is whole, perfect, and complete. We talked a couple of weeks ago about reasoning. The two ways of reasoning, inductive and deductive. Inductive is from within. Inductive is that place that we know, that we know, that we know. This is the place in which spirit operates. This is how the mind of God works, because it knows nothing else but perfection and wholeness. So it really cannot go anyplace else, because it's everywhere already, all the time. And it has already created the divine plan. It knows exactly what's being unfolded. It has created it. It doesn't need to worry about it. It doesn't need to fret over it.